Since President Trump decided to walk away from the Iran nuclear deal in May of last year, tensions between our two nations have steadily increased. Punishing economic sanctions have been reimposed. But while those sanctions are intended to hurt the Iranian government, everyday people are also paying a price. Imtiaz Tyab got a rare look inside Iran and spoke with some of those affected.
After hours of negotiations, we were finally given permission by Iranian authorities to travel aboard this fishing boat, steering us deep into Iran's maritime territory.
The view from here may seem peaceful, but make no mistake, these waters are an international flashpoint that has everyone in the region on edge.
20-year-old Mohammed has been trawling the Strait of Hormuz since he was a little boy. Along with his uncle and nephew, they work the same waters their family has for generations.
Are you worried that an accident, the mistake, could happen and we see a fight between Americans and Iran?
Yes. This waterway is vital, not just for Mohammed, but for the world. On any given day, around $1.3 billion worth of crude passes through the strait, and Iran's Navy chief says any threat to Iranian interests would lead to an all-out war. But war isn't on the minds of most Iranians. The terrible state of the economy is.
Here in the local market, people are really feeling the pinch, much like millions of Iranians across the country in the year since President Trump began reimposing what his administration is calling the toughest ever sanctions on Iran.
Over the past 12 months, the price of staples like chicken are up by almost 80%. Even the humble tomato is 5 times more expensive. But it's the rial, the Iranian currency, which has hit pocketbooks the hardest after being devalued to an all-time low. All this uncertainty worries Mehdarpour and his wife Zainab.
What are you more worried about, the economy or the possibility of war?
The economy.
بیشتر از جنگ می‌ترسم.
She's saying, I'm worrying about the war.
Back in Tehran, at the Abdul-Azim Shrine, hundreds of worshippers are here for Friday prayers, and more often than not, to listen to fiery anti-American sermons. But this time, the imam's speech was decidedly muted, other issues clearly weighing on the minds of worshippers. Issues that are also weighing heavily elsewhere, including at hospitals, where caring for the country's most vulnerable is becoming increasingly difficult.
Iran produces most of its own medicines, but when it comes to the most advanced pharmaceuticals, it relies heavily on imports. And that's how sanctions can have an effect.
Imported pharmaceuticals have dropped by 80% in recent months, and the cost for the tiny amount of drugs that do make it in has skyrocketed. A reality that only adds to the agony felt by 4-year-old Mahdi's parents, who've just learned his cancer is back. And the cocktail of drugs he needs to stay alive simply aren't available.
Are people losing their lives because they can't get this drug?
Yes.
What do you say to a parent whose child has cancer, that the drug is available outside of Iran, but you can't bring it into Iran? What do you say to them?
I just tell them to pray and be sure that we are with you. We know your pain.
A stark reminder that in Iran, nearly every aspect of life is affected by U.S. sanctions. For CBS This Morning Saturday, Imtiaz Tyab, Tehran.
Fantastic reporting by Imtiaz and his team there, and a reminder that you can talk about something on a diplomatic level, but if you go to the street level and examine exactly what's happening there and in other places, that's really the best way to look at it.
The most vulnerable.
Or the worst in some cases.
The most vulnerable hurt by them.
Yeah, all politics is personal.